The Shulchan Aruch isn't Torah. I think they say even the Beis Yosef, when he realized what happened, he regretted it. That people were just like, this is it, this is all you need. Like, no. It's like a commentary on the Gemara that helps you find what the halacha is. But to think that people would no longer learn Gemara and just go to learn the Shulchan Aruch to figure out what to do. So the Gemara is analysis and balance and going back and forth. So there's a saying, they say, that if you want to be machmer, if you want to be strict, look in Shulchan Aruch about what to do. If you want to be makel, if you want to be lenient, ask a Rav, ask a scholar. Because the scholar knows the ways that something is permitted. The Shulchan Aruch, if you're just reading it on a simple level, doesn't always give you that. That's why you need the Talmud and the Rishonim and the Achronim. You need the commentaries to really see the variety of opinions and situations and how it can be interpreted. And that's what it means also. The Torah itself has built in many ways of being able to get around the Torah. It's not getting around the Torah. You know, a lot of people don't understand what it is to have like a mechiras chametz for Pesach. Selling your chametz to the non-Jews for Pesach. You know why? I'll tell you why. Because Torah, it's not just a game. It's not just there's two ways of Torah. One way of Torah is it's all a game about how to please God and please ourselves at the same time. And that's why a lot of non-Jews are like, what is this? This is weird. Just don't get it.
It's not the only.
But that's a weird thing.
Jews say so too.
And Jews too. You know, Joseph Telushkin has in his book on Jewish humor a great story about smoking. The Orthodox, Reform, and Conservative rabbinic alliances have different meetings to discuss this issue. The Surgeon General warnings about smoking causes lung cancer, other diseases, secondhand smoke. The Reform movement says, you know, it's really bad. We recommend that people shouldn't smoke, but because the Reform movement doesn't impose its beliefs on its members, well, it's just a recommendation. The conservative movement bans smoking. It's forbidden. A conservative Jew is not permitted to smoke. The Orthodox Jews see that the medical evidence is overwhelmingly negative, so they make a declaration that we are now selling our lungs to the Goyim. Anyway. So that's the...
Can that be on the tape?
Yeah.
It's going to be on
What about
YouTube.
the game versus non-game?
What?
What about the game versus
So
non-game?
what it is here is, you know, part of the rabbinic work is you don't go and say the Torah was wrong. You don't say that, but you change it in a way that it changes it without saying it was wrong. And that's what the Talmud has plenty of. That's what the Shulchan Aruch has plenty of. But that's just a mechanism. And I understand why we need to be able to do those things. But that's not the point. The point of this Torah is that there's another element of Torah that we have to see. And that element of Torah is the Torah is about two things. It's about restriction. And why would you restrict yourself? And now we're going to close the books. And I'm going to take the next 10, 15 minutes just to really talk to you about this. Even though we're not doing the final text, you can do that at home. The Torah, on the one hand, is forbidding things to you. What does it mean? What does it mean to have things that you're not allowed to do? So the Yesod Yesharim says, let me ask you this question. Do you remember what you ate for lunch yesterday? Does anybody remember what they ate for lunch yesterday? I actually do, because it was a
I
nice
do.
lunch. Yeah, remember. Do you remember the day that you couldn't eat anything because you went to the bathroom 500 times? You remember that day?
Mhm.
It might have been a year ago or 5 years ago. You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
That day you remember 5 years later, 10 years later. I still remember 15 years ago, when for like 4 days I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't hold anything down, right? So the Sod Yesharim says the very fact that when life is as usual, it's almost like no impact. You're just existing. But when you don't do something, or you can't do something, or you have something that hurts or that bothers you, you remember, means that there's a certain power that instead of just having pain, self-imposed discipline, mitzvahs, that are teaching tools that help us clarify that we don't just pleasure ourselves in any which way that we feel like it because we can.
Because it was there.
Because then ultimately it's meaningless anyway, when you just take whatever you want without, withholding anything. It's just like another lunch that you will not remember, and will just merge into the haphazard, just ongoing blah of life. So, what is Esav? As we mentioned before, that Yosef is the balance and the antithesis of Esav. What is Esav? Esav is somebody who says, I'm holy. I come from a holy lineage. It's actually a little bit of a put down to people who think that they are just a Rabbi because of their parents. But this is what he says. This is what Shalom said. Yesharim said that Esav represents somebody who just thinks they're intrinsically good, and they think that they're like Yehuda. That's what he says. But they're not. They're really Esav. What does it mean to be Esav? It means to be Esav means somebody who dresses up in the excuse that says everything is in God's hands, so whatever I do is really what God wants. And then they go out and they rape and they pillage. They're inappropriate, and they say it's antinomian, it's divine will, determinism, blah 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 blah, Ishbitz, it's not my fault, it's coming from a higher place, but they're still Esav. And that's why we need Yosef. We need Yosef in this world because there will be a bunch of fakes and frauds who will say, my parents are Yitzchak and Rivka, and I know this Ishbitz teaching, so I'm Yehuda, but really they're Esav. It says this. This is not even me anymore. So therefore, what Yosef is the lesson of evaluating your life, creating a meaningful life out of contemplating what it is that you're doing, and analyzing your motives, as we just learned the 4 steps, and then 2 out of the 4 steps, to configure whether or not this is something that really is what God wants. Because just to say God wants whatever I want is a narcissist. It's not even the message of the man. Believe me, it's not the message of the Meshulach. Just do whatever you want. That's not his message. He's very clear that even Yehuda has to coexist with Yosef within a halachic framework when he can and should, for the most part. So Yosef plays a very important role in our life. The formulation of halacha and the continued subservience to halacha through accepting its boundaries and through observing its laws create in the people of, that's why he says that Yaakov loved Yosef. Ibn Zakun, and he explains that what that really means, that Yaakov loved Yosef of all of his kids, What that means is that